Buenas and half a day, everyone. Good afternoon. This public hearing by the Committee on Maritime and Air Transportation, Parks, Tourism, Higher Education, and the Advancement of Women, Youth, and Senior Citizens is hereby called to order. Today is Thursday, March 2nd, 2023, and the time now is 2 p.m. For the record, and in accordance with the Open Government Law, notices for this hearing were sent on February 23rd and again on February 28th. In addition, this hearing was noticed on the Guam Legislature's website and the Guam Public Notice website. Joining me here this afternoon are committee members Senator Roy Kanata, Senator Tello Taitagui, and other colleagues, Senator Sabina Perez and Senator Tom Fisher. So just Masi colleagues for being here. Before we proceed with the discussion, I'd like to first provide some general rules of conduct for those in attendance. The conduct of this hearing shall be as follows. Written testimony shall be submitted to the committee. Please provide the legislature staff with your written testimony for photocopying. Testimony may be read, and lengthy testimony should be summarized to about 5 minutes. Those testifying will be allowed to present written or oral testimony. Once you are done, please remain in the room for questions or additional testimony as may be desired by members of the committee. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the nature and of the agenda. The agenda is the appointment of Mr. Carlo M. Guerrero to serve as a member of the Guam Community College Guam Board of Trustees. The chair will invite individuals who have signed up to testify to the table, and before speaking, individuals shall first be recognized and state their name for the record. Okay, so we will now begin. Created through Public Law 14-77, the Guam Community College was established with the purpose of establishing career and technical education and other related occupational training and educational courses for instruction aimed at developing educated and skilled workers for Guam. The Guam Community College Board of Trustees is the body that supervises the college. The Board of Trustees discusses and subsequently enacts policies based on the body's discretion. In addition, to these duties, the body is also responsible for submitting the college's annual budget to the Guam Legislature. At this time, we'd like to call upon Mr. Carlo M. Guerrero, who has been nominated to serve as member of the Guam Community College Board of Trustees. Please join us. And all those who have signed up to testify today. We have Mr. Frank Ariola, trustee, Ms. Rose Greeno, trustee, Dr. Mary Okada, and Mrs. Jessica Leon Guerrero. Are you going to testify? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So we'll begin with our chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Ariola.
Thank you. Alpha Day, Madam Chairperson, and the members of the 37th Guam Legislature. My name is Frank Ariola, and I am the chairman of the Guam Community College Board of Trustees. I am honored to be here before you today to testify in favor of the reappointment of Mr. Carlo Leon Guerrero to the GCC Board of Trustees. As a member of Guam Community College's Board of Trustees for the past 15 years, I can attest to the importance of a true working board, especially in an organization as dynamic and ambitious as GCC. And to the credit of the senators, the governor, and Dr. Mary Okada for finding effective leaders to fill these roles, I believe that the current Board of Trustees is as dynamic and engaged as any with whom I have been privileged to serve. I am honored to be here today, specifically to voice my full support for the reappointment of the Vice Chairman of the Board, Mr. Carlo Leon Guerrero, and to urge this committee and the legislature as a whole to confirm Mr. Leon Guerrero's reappointment. Mr. Leon Guerrero's service as a trustee has been pivotal in the modernization of our campus and in the new learning models, such as the Work Ready Boot Camp, that have helped gain the college national attention. His institutional knowledge and experience as a businessman are evident in the ways he has contributed to the successes of the college throughout the past 5 years. As Guam Community College prepares for accreditation in 2025, Mr. Leon Guerrero's leadership experience, energy, and extensive knowledge will be essential to ensuring the college is accredited for another 8 years. GCC is a mission-driven institution. It is through staid commitment to that mission by board members like Mr. Leon Guerrero that the college has been able to respond quickly and effectively to the needs of our island, both during and post-COVID. As such, GCC remains the leader in career and technical workforce development, providing the highest quality, student-centered education and job training for Micronesia. Sijuas Masi for the opportunity to present this testimony in favor of the reappointment of Mr. Carlo Leon Guerrero to the Guam Community College Guam Community College Board of Trustees. Sijuas Masi.
Sijuas Masti, Mr. Ariola. Thank you very much. I also like to recognize my colleague, Senator Joanne Brown, for joining us this afternoon. We'll now move on to Trustee Greeno.
And members of the 37th Guam Legislature. My name is Rose Greeno. I'm a Secretary of the Board of Trustees at the Guam Community College. I'm here to provide my full support in the reappointment of Mr. Carlo Leon Guerrero into the GCC Board of Trustees. As what our chairman has said, I think this group of Board of Trustees is really working well. We're so diverse and really dynamic and actively engaged towards the mission of GCC. Alongside with my support, I'm here to read the written testimony of our fellow board member, Mr. Sablan, if I may. Okay. Venice and half-a-day Madam Chairperson Shelton and members of the 37th Guam Legislature, thank you all for taking the time to be here today. I regret that I am unable to submit this testimony in person. However, it is my honor to provide their short but concise written testimony in support of Carlo Leon Guerrero's reappointment for another full term as trustee for the Guam Community College. I have the pleasure and privilege of serving alongside Trustee Leon Guerrero since his appointment to the board in January of 2018. As a business owner, Carlo has a keen understanding of the private sector requirements in terms of workforce, and he knows the importance of Guam Community College's role in developing our workforce to meet these requirements. His insight and experience are invaluable and leads to the diversity of the trustees that make up the board. Carlo is a team player and works well with and is respected by his fellow board members. His management and financial background has been and will continue to be useful in helping the board formulate policy decisions that assist in business and financial management of the college. Carlo is dedicated and takes his role as trustee seriously. His vision and energy had been crucial in helping to steer the direction of the board and the college. His continued tenure on the board will certainly help the college towards its continuing mission of being a leader in career and technical workforce development, providing the highest quality, student-centered education and job training for Micronesia. Sincerely, Mr. Richard P. Sablan, President, Mariana STEMship Agency Incorporation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Greeno and Sablan, for the testimony. Now move to President of the Community College, Dr. Mary Okada.
Half-a-day, Madam Chairperson Shelton. To Senator Tom Fisher, thank you very much for joining us. Senator Kanata, Senator Sabina Perez, Senator Brown, and Senator Taitigui, thank you very much for your attendance here this afternoon. Thank you also for this opportunity to come before you to offer my full support for the reappointment of Mr. Carlo Leon Guerrero to the Guam Community College Board of Trustees. I've had the privilege of working with Mr. Leon Guerrero for the past several years. He has learned so much about the institution, from how our work-ready boot camps facilitate the partnerships needed to support individuals looking for work with employers looking for skilled labor, to contract negotiations, managing our financial and human resources, and building capacity through our capital improvement programs and expanded academic offerings. All of these efforts support the framework in the institutional strategic master plan that was approved by the board. I must say, that really is a lot to learn in the time that he has been with us. With all the development and support that Trustee Leon Guerrero has committed to GCC and its students, it's time for us to gather our support for his reappointment to the board. Trustee Leon Guerrero is well positioned to be part of the discussions as the college completes its self-evaluation report in the upcoming academic year. This report, to be compiled by members of the faculty, staff, administrators, and students, will demonstrate that the college continues to meet its mission as a leader in career and technical workforce development, providing the highest quality student-centered education and job training for Micronesia. In addition, this will be the narrative that tells the story of our community college, how it meets or exceeds accreditation standards, but ultimately allows students to achieve and earn their degrees from the college, whether it be a certificate, an associate's, or a bachelor's degree. I know many of you have watched the growth of the community college and how it consistently leverages its resources to support our students and student learning. This means investing in our employees and providing them with the tools that they need to deliver the much-needed education and job training, along with the administrative support. Trustee Leon Guerrero continues to offer his expertise and experience. Collectively, with the members of the GCC Board of Trustees, the college continues to excel. With your support, our community will continue to reap the benefits of our efforts. Sizus Maasi Todas Hamzu, thank you for allowing me to testify before you today. Mary Okada, President of the Guam Community College.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And now to the nominee, Mr. Leon Guerrero.
Buenas and Hafade, Madam Chairperson Shelton, and the members of the 37th Guam Legislature. Thank you all for taking the time to be here with us today. Before I begin, I would like to thank and acknowledge the members of the Guam Community College Board of Trustees who are here in support of my renomination and their willingness to provide testimony on my behalf. My name is Carlo Leon Guerrero. I have served on the Board of Trustees for the Guam Community College since January of 2018. And I can proudly attest to the fact that the work being done through GCC is making a real impact on our island and her people. In just about every industry on Guam, you will find a foundation built with GCC graduates, from hotels to restaurants to medical clinics, construction projects, ship repair, automotive repair, digital media, and now cybersecurity, and soon, hybrid engine repair. The GCC Board of Trustees and the leadership team of GCC, led by Dr. Mary Okada, have truly elevated the college to such a level that some of our programs are held up as a model for other colleges on the mainland. The American Culinary Federation accreditation team that recently visited GCC was so impressed that they want to use GCC as a standard of excellence throughout the mainland. Board Chairman Frank Areola, Rose Greeno, and I were invited to present on GCC's Work Ready program, boot camp program, at the Association of Community College Trustees in 2021. The response from trustees of other colleges was overwhelming in the success of the program. GCC's programs are not just meeting, but in certain areas, exceeding the standards nationwide. In the 5 years that I have served as a trustee, we have pushed forward with the modernization of the college campus. We cut the ribbon on the completed Building E, the LEED certified 2-story building that houses the education program, and the criminal justice, social sciences, and human services programs. We recently cut the ribbon on the Gregorio G. Perez Forensic DNA Annex. And we will be doing the same for the new multipurpose auditorium very shortly. Once the MPA opens, renovations will start to expand GCC's award-winning culinary kitchen to include a baking kitchen. Already underway, the Student Support Building, Building B, in front of the campus is being expanded to truly become a one-stop center for student support. With a computer lab, tutoring room, and a lounge, it will also house campus security, the ID center, and academic advisement offices. And speaking of support for our students, the new open-air canopy for the Student Center is nearly complete. This will give students a large outdoor meeting and study area, which was funded entirely with Federal CARES Act funds. This area is one that students are really excited about. And based on the GCC master plan, we are not finished yet. In the QR, renovations to the GCC Workforce Development Center, many of which are trade boot camps will be held. The modernization of our construction program lab, and the construction of the new wellness center. I think one of the most enjoyable experiences is when a former Voc Tech or GCC student comes back on campus after decades or even after years away. They are always pleasantly shocked at the progress and the way the campus looks today. But expansion has not been elusive to the structures. Our programs have grown as well. Our nursing program has evolved from a certificate to an associate's degree. We have now been through the inaugural year of our 4-year Bachelor of Science in Career Technical Education, raising up a generation of CTE teachers for our school system, and we will be launching our hybrid auto repair program later this year. I believe what makes GCC stand apart is the mix of academic excellence and visionary leadership. What is being built up on campus in terms of buildings and programs did not just happen overnight. It has been the result of planning with a purpose. The execution of that plan is what the public now sees, but the most important work in progress happens in the classrooms and the labs. This is where tomorrow's workforce leaders are made. Our faculty are some of the most experienced, knowledgeable, and dedicated professionals I know. Their commitment to their students and their craft is unmatched. Yet with all the progress that has made GCC a model for others to follow, what I am most proud of is the level of support that is given to our campus community. During the COVID pandemic and beyond, GCC worked to ensure that the physical, emotional, and mental health needs of our students, faculty, and staff were supported 100%. Counseling services were provided to our entire community, financial assistance given to our students, and technology in the form of laptops and MiFi units were provided to all who needed. We like to use this clever phrase, community is our middle name. What is remarkable with GCC is that community truly is part of our DNA. Every step forward asks, how does this benefit our students, our faculty, staff, and ultimately our community? Gaining that level of clarity is what makes the college so successful. I am proud of the work we do, but more than that, I am honored to work with such a compassionate and committed group of professionals to raise up the next generation of Guam's workforce. Truly, our future is bright. In 2025, GCC will be up for reaccreditation. With all the work our campus community has done to raise the level of academics and workforce training on our island, I stand ready to do my part as a trustee on behalf of the students, faculty, staff, and our entire community to ensure that GCC achieves reaccreditation for the next 8 years. I thank you for your support of my nomination to continue serving as a trustee of the Guam Community College. Si Zeus Maasi, Carlo Leon Guerrero.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leon Guerrero. I'd also like to welcome the Vice Chair of the Committee, Senator Jesse Lujan. And now we'll start with questions, beginning with our Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations, sir, your nomination. You know, I'm just going to throw this question out there, and it's not necessarily basically at you or the institution itself, but as one school system, basically. You know, we've had meetings even before we were inaugurated, and I think it was just last week, with law enforcement folks, right? And one of the things we asked about, and in years past, it used to be a money situation in regards to being able to get recruits. Nowadays, it's not necessarily about money. It's about the fail rate for students that are taking even the entrance exam at the Department of Administration. And what we were told is that people who are applying, it's a 70% fail rate. And so I don't know what school system they're coming from, whether they're public school system or they're in GCC or UOG. I know that a lot of the students that go into UOG as well have to take remedial courses. So, I mean, I'm just asking, what can we do as one school system? Because it's coming from a school system, whether it's parents, whether it's teachers, the students themselves. Was it the pandemic that caused all this? Because it's a situation that is critical. And even for the folks that do pass, the ones that can read, the 30%, the 20 or 30% that can pass, they said they're having to waive the physical aspect of it because they're the ones that can read. And we'll have to, again, they'll make it up later. Hopefully they'll make the physical situation by the time they graduate. So just in your experience in the school system, what do we see, and where are we failing, or is it us or the system? What can we do?
Growing up on Guam, we have a high rate of immigration coming into the island from the Micronesian islands, and English is not their primary language; it is their second language. And so as that population increases, coming into a school system that has a difficulty merging English as a second language and those that speak English proficiently can be a challenge. And so I don't know if we've been able to get past that hurdle in their critical years of education as it pertains to secondary school. I know as an entity, Guam Community College is very involved in secondary education. We have counselors and we have professionals and teachers out there that are working with all students to hopefully increase their capacity with CTE courses that will help in light of some of the basic requirements for education in terms of reading as well as math, that those entry levels into some of the trades will help to strengthen especially math, right, skills, because now you're actually applying it to real circumstances versus book smart. And so we are doing our best to try and help elevate some of these students with deficiencies, but it really is a team effort.
Sure. And one of the questions I'd like to ask as well is there, I don't know if they're, what you're going to take your LSAT or whatever it may be, you study and, you take courses for that, or other exams, maybe you have a manual that you study. And maybe, does GCC currently have maybe introductory courses if you want to get into law enforcement or whatever it is that you take? These are 2-month courses to better enable you to be able to pass these exams. I mean, these are entry exams. Entry level just to get in, not necessarily, being in there already, but just entry level. That's what we're hearing, that their fail rate is pretty high.
Sorry. So GCC does have a series of criminal justice classes, right? So there are opportunities for people that want to enter into that field to be able to take classes at GCC and further their education, but also to set them up to better understand what to expect when they do go out and test.
Yeah, that's a good question. Do they have to pay tuition for that, for those courses? Because again, if they probably can't pass, they probably don't have the ability to pay.
A large portion of our students are on Pell Grant.
Okay.
So if they qualify,
Yeah.
which I would believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Okada, but more than 70% of our students
Qualify.
are qualified for Pell Grant.
Okay. Yeah.
So that helps with both tuition
Sure.
as well as books.
Sure.
and any other ancillary items they may need
Sure.
to further their,
Yeah.
their classroom
I
study.
guess it's kind of like your program, your boot camps.
Yes.
So I wonder if there are any boot camps as to get ready to pass entry exams, because it was really bothersome when we met, and they said there's 70. Is it a money situation? No, money's there. Our fail rate is 70%. Oh, wow, 70%. And they said they can't even read.
And with our boot camps, now that you mentioned that, our success rate is over 90%.
90%? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What programs do you have, that are in boot camps? I know you have your
We have
your
truck driving.
drivers, yeah.
We have nursing. We have
okay.
childcare. We have ship repair, construction trades. What else? Bus drivers as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. IT as well? IT?
We actually
IT.
even had an EMT program
EMT? Oh.
that we partnered with Hawaii
Yeah.
Community College on.
Yeah.
Child care services, which I mentioned previously. And we just finished a child care boot camp.
Your Balea program is run out of GCC, right?
That is
it?
correct.
Yeah. So maybe they should get with you and say, hey, man, help us out.
If I can assist,
Doctor.
Senator. So GCC has a program because we provide career and technical education for high school students.
Sure.
So last summer, we launched a GDOE, either recent graduate or high school senior CJ class, and at no cost to the students because we had federal funds to provide that. We have been in discussion with the chair, Chair Chris Barnett, in assisting the police department to provide some kind of training to help them pass the test, similar to like what you do with ASVAB, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be assisting students that want to, take advantage of law enforcement opportunities by providing them some training. With the pandemic, we were able to provide to students that were entering into GCC that got stuck in developmental entry, math and English, we were able to provide those courses to them free of charge using the CARES funding that we received. So we offer that for several semesters for students at no charge, just so they can get through that hurdle. Because once they get stuck into Dev Ed, they're stuck, and oftentimes they drop out. So we were trying to help facilitate them through.
Sure. Anyway, that's all I have. But anyway, Mr. Nagar, I look forward to your confirmation and working closely and see how we can help these agencies, most especially the law enforcement, that are greatly challenged, and what are the things that we can do to get our students to pass and turn that around. That there's a 70% pass rate, and 30% they just didn't want to show up, right? But anyway, thank you very much and congratulations. I look forward to your
I appreciate it.
your appointment.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. Senator Fisher?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I guess a follow-up on Senator Jesse's questions. I appreciate the fact that a lot of the students can apply for Pell Grants. Do they have the skills to apply for the Pell Grant? And do you have a counselor for students who are challenged?
We do. We have counselors that assist them with filling out the applications as well as getting their application in. But we also, from that point as well, put them on a course, right, to identify what it is that they want to accomplish, what classes they need, which will also identify what type of funding they need in order to facilitate their end goal.
Okay. Yeah, and again, following up on what Senator Jesse was asking you, the GPD, they can't, as you know, they can't find recruits for all the reasons Senator Jesse just outlined. It may be an annoyance at this point, but it's fast becoming an emergency, and it's really a problem. We just went through 3 years of COVID, and students weren't being educated as we wish. I think, this is pretty much an observation, but could we think about waiving tuition for students enrolled in kind of a Baleo boot camp? I don't know if that's possible for.
They don't pay for the boot camps. So we can create a specialized boot camp if we wanted to get some folks through the entry level as long as GPD hires them. So how the boot camps are structured, as long as there is an employer, we can develop it based on what their need is.
Okay, so it's our responsibility to find the kids that we need to target then.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions except to thank all of you for your service. Everybody on island has noticed very much the growth and the excellence of Guam Community College, and that's thanks to all of you. The whole community appreciates it, and I look forward to supporting you, sir.
Thank you,
Time
Senator
for-
Fisher.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Fisher. Senator Kanata.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations, Mr. Guerrero. I'm sure if your colleagues are here to support you, there's really no questions further to ask. And especially with the leadership of GCC, there's really no further questioning needed. Your leadership speaks volumes for the amount of development you've been able to achieve, especially during a COVID pandemic. You've continuously developed the campus phenomenally. You've been an aid to the community forever, and most especially the keyword community has been always you guys' selfless service and commitment to the people. So with that being said, thank you for your time and thank you for all your hard work, and please keep up the good work. Keep the community moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Perez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Leon Guerrero, for accepting the call the second time, I believe, right?
Yes.
So that's great that you're accepting this nomination, and we do appreciate all your service. Just a couple of questions regarding, I guess, your contributions specifically to the board, if you can probably detail that, and what do you foresee coming up in the next term?
Sure. So with my experience in the private sector, both in construction and business, I bring that set of background. Anytime we talk about boot camps, anytime we talk about how to move forward with providing opportunities for our students, for our community. I was also very instrumental in the contract negotiations done late last year with the faculty, which is done every 5 to 6 years. So that has been done, and done well, I believe. But on a daily, we are heavily involved with the executive team, the administrative team, in ensuring that policies are followed, revisiting policies as well as needed, to make changes as dynamic as the college is, as dynamic as our faculty is, as dynamic as our students are. Things can't be set in stone, and so we're constantly reevaluating the policies before us to see if any changes need to be made or adjusted. I'm heavily involved in making discussions with federal funding as well, where that money's coming from, how do we get there, and how do we support Dr. Okada and the faculty in getting the resources they need in order to establish those funding mechanisms to further the college, further the students, as well as the community.
That's great to hear. Every time Dr. Okada comes before the budget hearing, I could see now, all the support that you provide is a big part of that. One thing I want to ask is accreditation. So when is the next accreditation up?
2025.
Okay. And so what are the plans for that? Does the board have an involvement in that?
So currently, I'm actually sitting on one of the committees. And already the committees have been set. So there's already been discussion going towards preparation for the new accreditation as we start to look at the standards that we need to meet or even exceed. That is in place now.
And how long is accreditation for? So I know we just came from Charter Day at UOG. They got accredited for 8 years, 2 times in a row. So what is the accreditation cycle for the...
Currently, we are on
technical?
a 7-year accreditation. The next one up will be for 8 years.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we definitely wish you all the best, and it looks like you guys have a good foundation for that. I also want to basically turn to the Adult Basic Education Program. What are the plans for that? Is there any new plans for that in regards to strengthening that program?
So post-pandemic, so we're going back now out into the villages because many of the challenges that adult education students have is that they can't or don't have access to transportation. So we do have one launching right now in Dededo, and part of the team is there today in support of Attorney General Moylan's homeless encampment. So we have folks from adult education there so that we can find out what their needs are in terms of either finishing up their adult education or GED. But we are now revisiting and going back into the villages, and we still have the program at the Department of Corrections.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. I just want to go back to the construction part. So you have, I guess, expertise in that area. So that's one of the shortfalls when it comes to workforce development is, obviously there's a shortage of, construction workers on Guam. And what do you see as a board member in improving that workforce pool?
Well, I think we're taking a few steps forward with all the boot camps that we're doing, but it's hard. People still have to work in order to pay their bills. When you commit to the boot camp, whether it be a 3-month or 6-month cycle, you really have to commit your time and dedication, and you're not collecting a paycheck at the time, right? In the meantime, you have all these large contractors working on the Marine base, and they're paying $18 an hour for a general laborer, right? So you're not necessarily you're not a trade specialist, but as a general laborer, you're getting paid good money. Federal wage increases keep going up and up and up. This year alone on the Service Contract Act, $16.20 an hour plus fringe benefits, minimum wage. On the commercial sector, you can't compete with that. It's very difficult for entry-level positions. But from the construction standpoint, we are getting people, and it's not so much the people that looked at construction as their initial career path choice, but these are people that are coming from the tourism industry who have been laid off or who have now realized they needed to find an alternative career path because tourism is not coming back as fast as it used to, right? Or as it was pre-pandemic. And so what you find a lot of the boot camps are people that are doing career changes. So not necessarily their initial career path, but they're having to pivot like everybody else. And with GCC, we're able to provide them some tools and the opportunity because, as Dr. Okada mentioned previously, part of our boot camps and the way they work is that we identify employers on the front end before the boot camp is actually initiated. And these employers, their goal is to try and hire as many people as possible who are able to effectively pass and excel in these boot camps. And so whether it be ship repair, Cabris is a great public-private partnership. They hire almost every single one of them to come out of that ship repair boot camp. Construction trades, you have black construction, you have others out there that are looking for these trades, and they support the boot camp as well.
Well, thank you, and I do appreciate your responses, and I look forward to your confirmation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Brown. Senator Titley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Brown. You've always, been good about making sure that those come first are heard. A lot of my colleagues have asked questions, good questions, and I guess, Carlo, I've known you for many years, and first I want to thank you again for wanting to serve. I'm sure there's some things you can do with your time. I've seen your children,
Yes.
how many there are, and but willing to step up to the plate is basically a calling, and it's someone who really wants to help the community and see it grow and become a better place for your children as they get older. So thank you for that. This is your second term?
That is correct.
And it just seems like not too long ago, you were sitting in front of us. What year was that you came before us?
2018.
2018. Wow, time flies.
It does.
Yeah. Well, I do want to ask, was there any projects, personally, that you thought that you would like to implement at GCC, to assist the students or to assist any industry at all that you've been very passionate about?
Mine has always been about construction.
About construction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Prior to this, I also sat on the board for the Guam Contractors Association for 4 years.
I see.
And so with that background and understanding, at a time when the marine buildup was just a discussion and there was not anything coming through fruition at the time, in preparation for all that, we always knew that that was going to be our biggest challenge in that industry, was finding people. And the fact that H2 workers are limited creates an even bigger problem because we don't have the capacity. Mm-hmm. So construction has always been a project of mine that I would love to continue to grow, because without growth, without construction, growth will always be stymied or slowed down. And the community itself, it limits jobs, it limits access to resources, and also good pay.
Well, yeah, you definitely have the background for that, and it's a great asset to the board, for sure. However, I was hoping to just whisper something in your ear to may consider finding a daycare within GCC.
That is in the works.
Yeah, that's going to be very helpful. What is the enrollment right now, Dr. Okada, at GCC? The number?
We're at 1,703 students in the post-secondary. And we have over
1,700.
2,500 in the high school.
And 25, but it's 1,700. What was it 2 years ago?
Probably about 1,800. So we've lost a little bit. It's only this semester or last semester and this semester that we're actually seeing very, very slight increases. But it was about 1,800. I want to say about 1,850, somewhere in that area.
Right. If I'm not mistaken, it's gotten down. It's fell down from prior years, and one way to do that is to assist the students in any way possible, so that they can go to school, they can go learn a trade, and be productive in our workforce. But a lot of them, because of babysitting, they do not have the opportunity to find a sitter to take care of them because everybody in the household is working, and then you end up paying more for daycare than you are in bringing a paycheck home. So I'm hoping that you consider that, being a push in that direction. You have a lot of kids, so you know the issue.
And that is truly on our agenda. A few things that will be coming in the near future, we hope, with the legislature's support. But there are discussions in the works to make that happen.
Yeah, well, you definitely have a program within GCC that actually people can intern, in that daycare facility. So, it's all around. So please do that, because I believe that you'll have more people going to school, learning a trade if they had a sitter.
Yes.
And especially women in construction, which is now becoming more, normal now, seeing women in construction. So they still have to, fry the bacon and do everything else on top of taking care of children and getting their own careers, so that it'll be a lot of help. So again, appreciate if you can work into that section.
Of course, thank you.
And by the way, did you get permission from the other half to do this again? Okay. Yeah, very good.
That's a yes.
That's a yes. Okay, it's so important to have that family backup, to support you in doing something like this, because it is hard work, and you need their support. So, thank you again, Carlo.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Senator Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and certainly good afternoon to you, Mr. Leon Guerrero. I just want to ask you, certainly our colleagues have asked a number of questions of you, and you've been very, very forthcoming and supportive in your response, but where would you like to go from here? Granted, GCC has come a long way, certainly under Dr. Okada's leadership. just see the growth, the improvement of the physical plant and the opportunity that's available at the Guam Community College, including, just in dealing with the pandemic, being able to help, as was discussed earlier, of people that had a set employment, probably thought that might have been their lifetime career, and then, circumstances, really changed that with the pandemic. And then, having an opportunity to go and learn something totally new and maybe start a new and exciting career that they may otherwise never have pursued.
Correct.
But to have the ability to do it, especially when you get a certain age, you're kind of hesitant to want to do something different from what you know. But yet, when you have that support there and encouragement there and positive energy, that can really make a difference. So where do you see things going from here now that you're looking at another round to serve on the board?
Well, we definitely want to do more boot camps. Again, the boot camps that we offer are kind of dictated by what the community needs. And we hear from employers. We need to hear from more employers in terms of the vacancies that they're having a hard time filling and what we can do to create curriculum to support that, right? The other thing that we want to try and do is want to expand on the four-year college, four-year degrees. Currently, we offer one in CTE, but this is not in competition with UOG, but to help complement what they don't do, right? Just like our nursing program. We're an incubator for UOG after they get their associates, then they transition over to UOG. So definitely more of that, creating more opportunities for upper growth, both in education as well as their ability to earn a better dollar. All in all, to help support our community and improve the lives of our people.
Well, and I appreciate the fact you want to expand your opportunities for four-year degrees, but I think at the other end, many people may not have an interest or drive or desire to, and sometimes, the degree looks nice, and then after your 4 years, it collects dust somewhere. Hopefully it's contributed to your growth in your future employment, but I really like the flexibility that GCC has shown, as I mentioned earlier, just to be able to accommodate wherever the need is. And as Senator Jesse had brought up earlier, we're hearing in the last few weeks this growing concern, and I hope with their involvement in the Committee on Education to try to get to it, because I'm a little concerned. I know we've almost tripled the budget since my last life in the legislature for Department of Education. I'm just assuming the bulk of these applicants are coming from DOE. And I'm just concerned if they don't have the basic skill sets to read and write to pass these entry exams, particularly we have such a need for law enforcement. Sad to say, but that's the reality. That's where we're at, and we would like to see more of these young up-and-coming, have the opportunity and be able to start a very good career. But if they don't get their foot through the door because they don't have the basic skill sets, and some people get discouraged by it. Nobody wants to go into the limelight and say, oh, I can't pass the test, or I don't know how to do it.
Right.
And that might be the end of the line. They may never choose to pursue it any further because of that hesitancy, and that sense of reservation that sometimes comes from putting yourself in a situation that you don't have the skill set to accomplish. And so I think that's something I hope we could look at, because it's very concerning. We keep saying, oh, our people are leaving. Well, a lot of our good people want to stay too, but it's like, how do we help facilitate? Because if they get that extra assistance, then hopefully they'll be able to pass the test. And I know at least the Guam Police Department said, well, hey, we need to look at that. We don't even know what they're testing for. We need to look at that test and see what the requirements are so that we can help facilitate, getting young up and coming. Every year they talk about everybody retires every year. That's been going on since time started. But how are we going to prepare the next generation to have that? And once you have that knowledge and capability, gosh, that is so fulfilling in life. Nobody, as they say, as your parents tell you, nobody can take it away from you once you have it, once you've acquired it. And people can have that at different levels of fulfillment. It doesn't have to be up to your doctorate, even though problem for those that do, that accomplish that. But not everybody has that interest, and their capability of earning money is not related to that degree nowadays. Right. I mean, you can have, look at how much your mechanic charges to repair your car just to look at it, and you're like, wait, I think I got the wrong job. But I certainly wish you well.
Thank you.
In coming back. I think the fact that, Lynn, looking certainly at your background in the private sector, there's no doubt you're a very busy person. I'm sure you could dedicate your time to doing what your profession is, but the fact that you're willing to step out and extend into the community with your expertise is appreciated. I just want to relate to Dr. Okada. I know you had a recent opening for your, I don't know, is there forensic lab up at GC? We did not get invited, by the way. There are a number of senators that didn't get invited. I'm hoping maybe we can coordinate with our public safety chair to go up and tour the facility and hopefully not interrupt their operations. I'm sure they're, using the facility, but it'd be nice to see what capabilities now are there as a result of that facility being completed and opening and operational. So with that, thank you so much. Thank you to all of you for coming and your continued interest in supporting the Guam Community College. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I think Senator Perez has one more question.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I forgot to ask, so in your packet, it mentions that you have financial interest in several businesses. And so if you can maybe talk about, has there been any instance where the businesses that you have ownership in were also provided services or supplies to GCC?
Yes. So I'm an owner of M80 Systems. However, although we do bid on FF&E packages that come through, I myself am not privy to procurement. As a board member, we are only there to help establish, develop, and enforce policies, and then work with Dr. Okada to ensure the sustainable growth of the college. But I have no oversight on procurement or not involved at all.
Okay. All right, just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you. If you can indulge me, Madam Chair, just a couple more questions. So can you explain what is your understanding of diversity, the importance of diversity and inclusion in education? And how do you plan to promote that in GCC?
So diversity and inclusion really is to allow people from all walks of life, whether you're male, female, or you identify as either one or the other, but also different ethnicities, to be able to have access to the same type of education that you or I possibly had. And GCC is really a model for that. Recently, we just had a scholarship ceremony for a $2,000 a year. Is it $2,000 a year for the students? $1,000 a year from an off-island benefactor to support, is it LBGT, right? For LBGTY. Q. It's a long acronym, sorry. But to support that and that particular demographic within our student community, and whatever match that they get, whether it be federal or whatever the case may be, they will do a 2-for-1 match. So we, even as a college, initially, I think previously the year before, we had a whole conference dedicated to diversity and inclusion. But because it's such a in-depth, like you mentioned, how do you define that? There's so many ways people interpret it. There's so many things that go into that particular thing that we recently decided that we were going to break it up and take a look at it one at a time to give people the ability to comment and actually debate, communicate on each topic separately versus diversity and inclusion as a whole, because there's so many things that go into it.
All right. I guess another question would be, considering the increase in electricity costs, and then I guess the increase of providing education, what steps do you think Guam Community College should take to address these financial challenges?
We've already taken those steps. So as you go through the campus, you'll see that we have walkways that have been provisioned with photovoltaic solar panels above the walkways. And so we've seen a decrease in energy costs, and we're going to continue to add more on campus. We've also gone and procured 100% electrical vehicles for the use of our staff. We're trying to get away from the fossil fuels where we can and as much as we can. So we're already taking those strides to be able to minimize our impact on the environment as well as our need for electricity and fossil fuels.
Has student enrollment decreased?
It has slowly decreased as a result of the pandemic, but with all the boot camps that we continue to offer, that helps to kind of level back our enrollment back to what it was pre-pandemic. And as we continue to push these boot camps through, then our enrollment stays steady.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Lujan?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I asked for another question because I was glad to hear that you were talking about expanding the programs, even looking at four-year programs. And I got to applaud you guys because actually I think GCC is an institution that can respond a lot faster to the needs of the community as opposed to UOG. You know, in looking at diversifying Guam's economy, one of the things that we ask industry folks in the IT, because Guam could be an IT hub. You know, we have all these undersea cables that are coming here to Guam, and really, it's really underutilized at this point. Likewise, we're set up for a transshipment hub here in Guam as well. We have the expanded runway and all that. But those require, you know, technical jobs, really technical jobs. And one of the things that we're looking at, because in years past, Gov Guam needed to educate their workforce. They needed to get them high school diplomas. They wanted them to get at least their associates and their bachelors. So they created the Doc Sanchez program. So we've got an overabundance of PA majors and criminal justice majors and all that, which is great. It's fantastic. But in diversifying our economy, these are the things that we have at our hands right now that we can tap into. But it's not tapped at this point. And one of the things we ask these industry folks is that, you know, can we turn this into a hub? They say they absolutely can. One of the things they're looking, one of the main obstacles is not having the workforce, And they said, and we could do it, but we're going to have to bring in H2 as well. That's not what we want to do. No. And likewise, after the construction with the military buildup, I mean, there's a lot of people being employed, a lot of H2 as well. Those jobs after the construction is that they're going to shift now to running the facilities, and those facilities are going to need high-tech people as well. They're going to need. So how will we respond? I know you guys respond. I mean, and that's why I say you guys are an institution that responds quicker to the island's needs. But for what we have right now as a transshipment hub and even information hub and all that, and even after construction, are there plans and have you, I'm sure you communicate with companies all the time and what their needs may be and how long would that program take to come to fruition? The unfortunate thing at this point in the information side, the IT side, you know, when there's a job available, you know, for really high tech, maybe it's only one or two positions, you know, and so we want more than that, right? We want, you know, hundreds of positions being open, you know, kind of like when United just said, hey, we're needing, 500 folks to go to Colorado, you know, we want that for here. And we do have the industry over here. We need, I mean, it's already here, you know, we built it. Now let's grow on it. But, you know, one of the obstacles they're saying is their workforce. So what, you know, what are some of the plans in regards to diversifying what we already can diversify at this point?
So as we mentioned before, we have several boot camps, and we continue to expand on those. And really, realistically, it allows people, as you talked about, the tech industry. So was it 4 years ago where we partnered with IT&E, Docomo? We actually provided a robotics course for teens in high school. So when you talk about technology, we found the right corporate partners to partner with to help sponsor some of those technologies and bring it to the classroom. One of the challenges that we have in offering any course, though, is going to be being able to find instructors, right? So when you talk about specialties, if you're in a high-tech position and you have that knowledge or that knowledge base, chances are you're going to be making a lot more money working in the field that you're working in versus coming down to try and teach. So we do have the option of being able to do adjunct professors where they can actually come in and teach on their free time. So that gives us an option to try and expand on these courses. But working hand in hand with the employers to build that curriculum and then getting the instructors to come in and be able to teach that curriculum, it doesn't happen overnight.
Sure.
But I agree, we are positioned to be able to move quicker
Sure.
and be able to facilitate that type of expansion than other institutions may or may be.
I mean, it may not even require two years,
Yeah.
2-year degree or a 4-year degree. It may just be knowing it and a certification at that, right?
Yeah, we've
Something
actually
like
had
that.
6-month boot
Yeah,
camps.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just depends on the technology.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to do cybersecurity, which is one of those things that, from a federal standpoint, any federal contractor in the next 2 to 3 years has to be at a certain level for cybersecurity.
Sure.
And so without those professionals, a lot of your federal contractors are going to have to source off island, which it can be done,
Sure.
whether through VPN or through servers and all that good stuff. But we don't have the capacity here as of yet. But every federal contractor is going to need it.
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of these folks that are getting into the IT are already very knowledgeable in IT. They're just needing to maybe know a certain aspect of that IT, be trained in it. And again, most of the folks that design these, they haven't gone to college. They did it themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I'm glad because you're the institution that can respond a lot faster to the needs of the community. And I'm glad that again you're looking at maybe even 4-year programs and all that, and you are the response team to the needs. But that's great, and thank you, Dr. Okada, for your leadership and board members as well for that, because you're the ones that make it happen.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the senators for being here today and for the questions. Dr. Okada, I know that the GCC Foundation is not necessarily, the budget is not part of the community college budget, but are you able to share with the committee how much the foundation has at this time? And
I'd have to get the latest numbers, but with the decrease in the value of the investments that we have, I know it has decreased quite a bit. I want to say that at one point we were at close to 14 million. And for the members of the committee, the foundation really has been our support for a lot of the capital projects that we have on campus. So if you look at how with every funding opportunity that comes, the foundation has always supported the architectural and engineering design for many of the buildings on campus, because it's difficult to ask for money when you don't know what you're asking for. So they always serve as the front line in terms of supporting our facilities master plan. So if we have something in the pipeline, and I'll give you an example, our culinary kitchen, as the vice chair mentioned, once our new multipurpose auditorium is done, the culinary kitchen will expand to be a culinary arts and baking center. Well, we saw that coming maybe about a year ago when the CARES funding started to come out, although CARES funding was not available for construction at the time. So we initiated with the Foundation Board of Governors to support the architectural and engineering. So lo and behold, CARES money now is available for, under certain provisions, for the minority serving institution funding that we received, 2.7 million, is allowable now for construction as long as it relates to the pandemic, and how does it support the institution in terms of addressing the issues associated with the pandemic. So when that funding became available, the A&E is done. So now we can speak to, we need to reprogram this remaining funds, because here's what it's going to look like. And so they've always been our support in that regard. The foundation right now, in terms of the wellness center, maintenance and wellness center that we're planning to build, the foundation is the borrower for this upcoming USDA loan that we're almost done, that we are finalizing now. So they will be they will obtain the loan on behalf of the college, and then through a lease-back agreement with them, we will they will borrow the money, we will build the building, and then we will make provisions to them so that we can pay down the debt service at some point. So the foundation at one point was at 14 million. I want to say it's probably down to about 11, and slowly increasing now that it's restoring a little bit.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okada. All right, thank you very much to my colleagues and Mr. Leon Guerrero for your time today and answering all of the questions, as well as your service over the last several years. We look forward to your confirmation to this board again. I'm sure your colleagues on the board are excited to have you reconfirmed, and we wish you all of the best. We hope to move your confirmation as quickly as possible so you can have a full board working for the community college as soon as possible. Not in this session that we're going into tomorrow, but hopefully in the following session. So we'll keep you updated. And thank you very much. If anyone else would like to provide testimony for today's confirmation hearing, they can send that to our office at Office of Senator Shelton at guamlegislature.org or deliver testimony to the mailroom of the Guam Legislature. And we want to thank everyone who's viewing today online and on our television channel. That concludes today's hearing. The time now is 3:05 p.m. Sidious Masi.